Alright, hey everyone, GameBrain here, back with another Speed Duel rated game. Today we are featuring a slightly older recording, as I mentioned in the past video. Um, I've just been trying to find good games that feature a variety of decks. Sadly, a lot of the rated game replays are blowouts or slightly unbalanced, and today we have myself versus Lee, which is one of the most common matchups in the rated ladder. I believe the most common one is me versus user, but at least this season. So, um, as I said, I'll try not to feature myself too much in these games, but naturally, I believe me and Delicates have played the most rated games as of now. So some users might end up appearing. I'll appearing more often. This is also slightly an older replay. I believe I've actually changed my list since this, but nevertheless, it was a cool match, and I wanted to feature it. And I think the point of these videos is more to show these different duels and kind of review the plays made, what could have improved, look at different interactions, and so forth, and just have a fun time showcasing some good Speed Duels games. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We will have myself on Alchemy, and I am playing like a classic version of Alchemy, so I have some token cards, I have stuff to banish for it, versus Ali's Dark Magician. So I believe Ali is on the version that does not run Dark Renewal, but we'll see. I know he switched to at some point, but I don't recall if he was trying it here or if he was still on his old version. Also, yeah, habit of turning skill over at the start of the game. So let's take a look at these opening hands. I am on DD Destroyer, Macrocosmos, Reinforcement of the Army, and Swords of Revealing Light. Ali is on Magic Karibu, Offerings, Magic Karibu, and Dark Magician. So either way here, if I summon or hit in, Ali will be able to get into his Dark Magician package. So let's take a look. I'll start by just setting Macro. Obviously, I don't want to summon turn 1 against Dark Magician, scared that they can summon DM in return, and I will activate Macro just in case they attempt to activate some effect, even though no one plays Night Beam anymore. Nevertheless, we see 2 cards set by Ali, and he will pass the turn. So I draw into the DD Survivor. This looks like the optimal summon here. I'm curious if I attempt to summon it. I will attempt to summon it and start hitting in. I mean, I have the DD Destroyer, so I feel pretty safe to react. So let's see how this goes. I wonder if this was the play for me here. Given I have swords, I don't think it's unreasonable to attempt to play slower, but I think at the same time, at some point, you have to play into Dark Magician. And with the way the deck is structured here, I do have Token Stampede, but I think just starting to hit in and playing around that should be fine, even though I have no idea why I set the Reinforcement of the Army. Yeah, I think this is just a huge misplay. I don't know why I was setting this. I think it might have been a misclick. Okay, just very bad set from Reinforcement on the Army on my end, because Dark Magician is almost certainly coming out here, so it's just going to get popped with the Dark Magic attack. But nevertheless, I hit in, and we summon the DD Survivor. Dark Magician comes out as expected, and my back row will very likely get popped. I think I might have been trying to bait because I have the swords. So my idea was that if... Oh, okay, I think that's why I did it. Just sacrificing this as bait for the... Actually to get the Dark Magic attack out, because then I can protect with swords. I don't know. I think that's a very questionable play. Nevertheless, I won't focus on it. And I did set the DD Survivor just to avoid taking more damage. Not that it will matter here. And sadly, that does appear to be a misplay because the Magic Karibu can get normal summoned here and beat over it. However, if there was any other normal on the side of Ali, it's very reasonable that he could have just beat the DD Survivor over with a DM, and then any normal summon of the deck beats over the token. I don't think that's necessarily a full misplay, but also, in this case, I do get punished for playing in that manner, and I will take the full 2k. So, in this turn, I'm attempting to bounce back. I draw another swords, which can definitely prolong the game. I'll go first for the DD Destroyer, trying to bait potential back row, and it will indeed get set. But I will then reveal the swords, which means I am playing pretty safe here. Will Lee attempt to use Thousand Knives? Let's see, he will. And indeed the DD Destroyer will be popped. I will draw into Quaking, so sadly, no way for me to develop my board and push damage with the tokens, so I will just pass. There's no advantage into setting anything else here. If there is a second Dark Magic attack in the deck, this does get destroyed, even though I think it's a bit greedy on my end. I'm not playing around the Breaker. Breaker has been in and out of some of these lists, sometimes one of, sometimes multiple copies, but I don't think that's as common anymore. So potentially losing into Breaker here, but there's also a chance there's a second Dark Magic attack, which would just destroy more of my back row unnecessarily. Think it's a difficult call. Because I do have the second swords, just to play into the Breaker, I think I should have probably set the Picking Mirror Force here. So that is a small misplay. And we will see the Offerings pop the DD Destroyer, just not letting me stick a monster on the board. So I also can't use the Alchemy token, and these DD Destroyers could have popped the Dark Magician, presumably. Ali going to pass, finally getting rid of the swords. And now I choose to still not set the Quaking. And let's see. And we see Patchy finally come in, stopping me from summoning as well. And finally I will draw into another monster, this time the Banisher. So with Banisher on field, I don't necessarily need to activate Macrocosmos, I can bluff that is any card. Banisher prevents Magikuribo from activating as well, similar to Macro. So even if Ali takes damage, he can't summon another Dark Magician. Ali at this point I think looking for his spell and trap outs. We'll see the Dark Magician go to defense. And I will draw yet another DD Survivor. DD Survivor will be summoned, and using the Alchemy skill, I'll finally be able to get another token. Banisher hits in, getting rid of the Magikuribo, and finally the tokens will start going in for damage. The Survivor needs to get specialed here. It's, I think we missed it. Yeah, okay, I think this must be an old replay, because I was curious if Tribe could pay for cost. And I'll just activate the macro in response. Tribe should get banished. I think we both missed that DD Survivor is a mandatory effect and needs to be resummoned. Oh, okay, there we go. So, yep, need to summon, it's a mandatory effect. So, swords will now get destroyed. And lucky for me, I draw into another swords. Yep. And banish Survivor again, get another token. And I will be hitting in for 1k. At the end, Survivor comes back. However, the issue is, Tribe does remain here, so it can keep on destroying things. That said, DD Survivor, it is once per turn, but if it does get banished, if it does get popped by Tribe, it will simply come back. So I'll still be able to create more tokens here. This does look like a difficult situation for Ali. The Book of Moon not doing much as well. And while the Sphere Kuribo... Oh no, the Sphere Kuribo can't activate either. They both have a cost to be sent to the graveyard, which cannot be activated because of Macrocosmos. So let's see what Ali can draw here. And we see another Dark Magician draw. The rock will be called, and both my tokens will be destroyed. At this point, I think I should have probably set Quaking, but nevertheless. I hit in with Survivor, interestingly enough, choosing to destroy the Tribe Infecting Virus. I think this is a misplay with how the game is. I could have simply attempted to make another token, attack directly, and then if the Tribe just pops the token, I, once again, just have Survivor, and I can keep repeating this process. So I think that's a big misplay on my part in terms of how I was envisioning winning the game here. I think I was a bit too focused on that Tribe existing. And we see the Allure of Darkness coming in for Ice Salty Elite, which is a huge play here, especially if he can draw into some spell and trap removal, which he does not get. I'm actually not sure what he's running in the main deck at this point. And yeah, I think misplay since I have 2 Quaking Mirror Forces just to play into that breaker, which I think I wasn't thinking about at the time. Once again, I think I was just focused on avoiding a second Dark Magic attack. And I will draw Rhoda. I assume I will add the Destroyer. Yep, so Destroyer gets added. Make another token. Pop the Dark Magician. DD Survivor now gets rid of the Tribe. And the token attacks in for 500. Another Patchy comes out. That Patchy can get set and flipped up and would destroy everything I have. So let's see if Ali decides to take that angle. But no, Ali chooses to not set the Patchy. I think that's a very interesting play. He's behind on cards, I guess, but I think there is a real game plan here to set the Patchy. If I attack in with DD Survivor, I definitely can't OTK from the looks of it this turn, even if I make a second token, so he'd still be at 100, and then the Patchy can get flipped, destroying everything. Even though the DD Survivor would get resummoned, it would allow Ali to make a push next turn. Because he's only seen swords from me, he has not seen the Quaking yet, so I think it would be a reasonable play to set the Patchy there. But Ali chooses not to, and I draw Banisher. Will I be summoning the Banisher? I will. Once again, I think this is a small misplay. I could have taken the game slower and just gone for the 2 direct attacks here. I wasn't expecting the Medora, I think. I was assuming that would be perhaps either Patchy or a Magic Karibo or something. So that is a misplay on my end. But nevertheless, will we see the shuffle here from Medora? Ali seems to be thinking. Okay, he chooses not to. He says he's not sure. Let's see. I mean, the Dark Magic attack could have been shuffled in there. Because if he had shuffled the Dark Magic attack, he would have the opportunity to special summon Dark Magician. And I think in general, it's very reasonable play to make here. Since I do have my token in attack, having used the Medora effect to shuffle then gives Ali an empty board, which would allow him to use the Ever Faithful Companion's skill to actually summon DM here. Okay, he will attempt to actually do it this turn, so waiting for the draw first, interestingly enough. Yeah, I'm just banishing some cards that probably should have been banished. You see the shuffle, the Dark Magician does come through, and now we will see the Allure of Darkness. However, that sadly will not result in back row removal, and the Quaking Mirror Force will hit here. And that should just be game. Alright, moving on to game number 2. Let's see, will Ali bounce back, or will I end up taking the game? So, opening hand here for me is Macro, Banisher, Dyna, and DD Destroyer. And opening for Ali is Magic Karibo, Dyna, Dark Magician, and Book of Moon. Most of these cards very standard for our respective deck lists. I will choose to set Macro and pass like the previous game. And we will see the Patchy come out, this time very early on, blocking me from being able to activate the Alchemy skill. And the Patchy will just hit in for a free 1200. Alright, so with the Patchy on board here, there's a few paths I could take. A very risky play would be committing the Book of Moon. However, with Banisher, I can simply summon the Banisher and try to play from there. And I will pass because I'm worried that if I beat over the Patchy, then the Ever Faithful Companion summon effect will be online. Obviously, Magic Karibo can't be used under both Banisher and Macro, so that's very safe there. But opening myself up to a quick loss here if I can't deal with the Dark Magician. In retrospect, while there is only one set, I do have DD Destroyer and Fossil Dyna in hand, but I think what I did is a relatively safe play. I could see an argument to hit him here though, but it is just 400 at the moment. So we see Allure being activated, and presumably the Magic Kariba will be sent, yep, because it can't do much under the banished cards. And we will see the Galaxy Cyclone not only hitting this random set, oh no, but it's not active. Great, sorry about that. Yes, so Galaxy Cyclone, normally when it goes to grave, it can be banished a turn after it's being set there to pop a face-up spell or trap, but in this case, it gets banished instantly, so it cannot. And we will see the offerings popping my Banisher, and sadly, I do not have any hand traps, so I will be left at only 100 life points. Here, I assume I will attempt to summon DD Destroyer. No, I attempt to summon DD Survivor, interestingly enough. I could have summoned Destroyer, popped something, and made a token in defense, but it's also reasonable to say to my opponent, well, if you don't have an out for this attack, there's only a single back row, maybe it can be something, but the book will be used, and that will be a very quick game here. Alright. With easier play, that would have been game, but let's see how I adapt, going into game number 3. Okay, so, oh yeah, I remember this. Okay. So, that is not supposed to be Token Stampede, and I think we discuss it. So what happened here was a bug. I figured out later why this bug occurred. Basically, I cited out the Token Stampede after I had clicked Done Siding Game 2, which, while the side worked for Game 2, apparently Dueling Book resets any side you've done after you've clicked Done Siding once that specific game is done. So I had sided out 2 Stampede for 2 Book, and just informing my opponent, and Ali is a good friend, so we both agreed that Stampede is a book for purposes of this game. And I appreciate Ali for always being a good pal, and for some stuff like this, being chill with it. So we see another patchy summon from Ali, and my opening hand to respond to that is Banisher, Dyna, presumably Book of Moon, and Quaking Mirror Force, and Ali has Tribe and Breaker in hand, finally seeing that Breaker. So let's see what happens here. I do draw into the swords, and I set up a very similar board. Similar to last game, I choose not to attack. However, this time Ali seems to have a much stronger situation. We'll see the Breaker being summoned, popping the swords, and will Ali choose to crash? Ali will choose to crash and pressure in with the Patchy for more damage. I do draw the DD Survivor, but I cannot use the Alchemy skill because of the Patchy, so I will simply set my Patchy, set to back row, and pass. And we will see the Tribe Infecting Virus finally coming up, presumably to push damage as a normal summon, with a Book of Moon in the back. Will Ali attempt to play around Quaking? Ali will not, so I'm thinking here on if Quaking should be used. I will actually let it through. This just makes Ali take 100 damage. That was a bit of a greedy play on my end, honestly. I could have just used the Quaking and guaranteed it. However, I greeted and thought Ali would push in for the second attack, which he did. But I would say that is a misplay that is probably not worth 100 damage. Furthermore, I could have made it so my Patchy didn't flip up, so I could have actually started summoning tokens. So this way, I actually ended up locking my own skill from being able to be activated. So I'd say to greed 100 damage, I missed that. I made a much bigger misplay. So big misplay on my end, and very influential for how the game goes forth. So now my Patchy has been revealed, so I'm kind of locking myself out of special summoning, even though this technically does lock out Ali as well, but I would say overall misplay. Nevertheless, 2 tributes now available for Ali, so there is no longer a need, and I will, once again, treat it as a Book of Moon. I will just not activate it to not set my own Patchy, and we will see the Dark Magician coming in, Even if I was to set Patchy, this does nothing when the Dark Magician can be tributed, since it's not special summoned. So then we'll see the Knives pop the DD Survivor, and Ali will also get rid of the Patchy, putting me in a very difficult situation. I will attempt to bounce back here. Yeah, I'm saying maybe keeping Patchy was a good idea, because now my skill is online. I will finally be able to summon DD Destroyer and activate my skill, popping the Dark Magician. Thinking on the position of the token. I know the last card in hand is Dark Magic Attack, so I will poke in. I'm just worried that a potential draw off the top could be very difficult for me if it can hit over the token, and it will. The Patchy hits in, I take damage. However, I know I can put Banisher in here, and I can hit in for sure because I know that last card is not Dark Magician, so I'm hoping it just doesn't get drawn off the top. Allure will be drawn off the top though, and that's only going to result in a Book of Moon, which doesn't do much. So we are both playing off the top here. Yep, just a miscommunication on what was sent. For some reason I thought a DM was sent, but that is fine. Just going to set the Quaking and hit in. So both players just playing off the top, Ali opting not to use Book there, and the Dark Magician is going to come through. I know that that card is Dark Magic Attack, so I will attempt to set the Dark Magician. However, it's a bit too little too late, and even though DD Survivor comes out, Ali can just choose to set that. Meaning that this turn, the Dark Magician gets to hit into whatever Ali wants, since my last backer will be popped. And things are looking difficult for me. I really need a good draw here, and I do get Swords of Revealing Light, which could potentially prolong the game. I get rid of DD Survivor, summon the token. I choose not to summon to attack, playing both off the Breaker, 4 cards left in deck. I've seen the Breaker, I believe, this game, and I've seen a Dark Magic Attack, and I just assume there's some more spell or trap removal. So if I summon this token in attack and my swords gets popped, chances are I could just lose the game on the spot. However, I think in retrospect this is a big misplay, because even if the Breaker is summoned, I'll still lose anyway if the token is in defense. I guess I won't, because I'll bring back DD Survivor, but I think in general the play here should have been to try to push for damage, because I threaten a 2-turn game here if I get this 500 in. Of course, Ali also has offerings in the back, which I was not aware of, but I think I played a bit too scared here and could have attempted to force game better. So I'll set the swords for some reason. Oh yeah, I think that's just a misplay. I think I'm just trying to buy an extra turn for deck out here, but this is an extremely bad play then. That's probably why I chose to put it in defense, but I don't think this is I think this is just the worst thing I could have done out of everything. Just very, very big misplay on my end, because the DD Survivor also doesn't get banished. So, yeah, just a big throw from my end to end the game here, and I don't think the Banisher will be enough. I'll summon the Banisher, activate Alchemy. Am I still reading onto the swords? Okay, that's a monumental read. I would have gotten punished anyway here, but that should be the game no matter what. Yeah. I could have kept going, I guess. Technically not game on board, but effectively game. So this, honestly, I think both players played well for the most part. I had some very big misplays towards the end of the game, but we got to see how the matchup between Dark Magician and Alchemy. I hope you all enjoyed that. This video I try to be a bit more casual with how I was talking about the game and how I was analyzing it. The previous 2 videos I tried to explain some interactions more. Let me know what style you liked. This was more of a casual commentary than more of just going in and hardly, and in general doing a hard analysis of these games. I also made a couple of misplays. I think it's a bit difficult to analyze your own games in a video the same way you would analyze other games. But I think overall, this was a very interesting game. It's a pretty old one. I think it's very early on when I was playing Alchemy. I wasn't used to this deck, especially with Stampede and everything. My list looks significantly different. Yeah, 260 rating is a while ago. I think both of us are. I think I'm like nearly 200 rating above this, and Ali is like 100 rating above this now. So Nevertheless, really cool game, and I'll keep trying to showcase these decks. As I mentioned, there's not that much variety of rated replays, so please go out, play more Speed Duel, play rated. It's a great format, and it's always exciting to see unique decks battling it out to just get the win. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed, and as always, if you have any feedback, please let me know. Have a good one, everyone.